Good day. Hey guys. I wanted to just share a few things that I really have gotten a lot of questions over the past 6 years that I've been married. They are on marriage. So if you're not interested, it's all good, sis. You can. But so these are like FAQs, frequently asked questions about marriage before you say I do and while you are doing. Most asked question has to be, how did you know he's the one? And since I was young, 22, and really also young in the faith, I did something really, really dumb where I was like, okay, Lord, I've been dating this guy for a while and he's the first like proper Christian guy that I'm actually dating who also just wants to do things right and honor you. And so I said to God, the Sunday he must appear wearing a certain, and that was really dumb. That's very flaky, guys. Like personally, I think that's just not the way God works. God is not some magician or whatever. Like, let's not do that. But I mean, if it's worked for someone out there, feel free to come for me. That's all good. It's just in my world, that's just no. Let's not do that. How I knew was the fact that I had peace about it. Obviously, we set time apart from each other to go pray about it and really search to see like, okay, is he, she the person I want? And we consulted leadership. So it's very important to have people in your life that speak over you, that are older than you, that have walked the journey before you, and that you can hear and listen to. All right, and then the other question I really get is about the before you say I do. And I want to phrase it as stuff I wish I knew before I said I do. Now, a lot of women just say to me, sex, communication, and feeding your husband or cooking for him. And I'd like to say those are really important generally, but they are not the only things you should be focusing on before you get married as a woman. I can't really speak for a guy. I'll mention probably a few things here and there. The first thing I really want to say was I felt so like short. I feel like people in my life who were around me then, who knew I was getting married, felt short in terms of telling me about just how hard it is emotionally to avail yourself as a spouse. The control you need to have over your emotions, because there's certain things that you really will not be able to change. I remember asking one of the elderly ladies in my life, I think it was the second year of marriage, and I asked her, so when is this going to change regarding my husband? And she was like, probably never, but maybe in 7 years time. And I just remember sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? How? You need to understand that you are marrying a whole human being who, depending on your age, has had a few decades of a certain way of living, raised a certain way, certain cultures, certain norms in their life. And so when you come together, they're not just going to forsake those things, even though they really have good intentions and they're not being mean about the way they do things. But if it doesn't line up with what you do, it's just not going to work. That's why I can understand why people say they first want to live with their boyfriend or girlfriend to see how this person lives on a daily. Do they make the bed? Do they brush their teeth? Do they put dishes back in the sink? Do they close cupboards after they've opened them? Type of stuff. Although I don't prefer that and I don't advise that, but I get it, because I was just like, some things I wish I could test drive, because for sure I would not have dated you or you if I knew this was what I'm signing up for. And when you're married, obviously, if you're trying to do this for the long run, you're not going to tap out just because he can't wipe the toilet seat. Finances. Before you say I do, like we're raised, especially in black families, to finish school, work, do what you gotta do for your mother, your family before you get married. And I would like to say that really just depends on your situation, if you really want to do that, because being married doesn't like change the fact that you can do that, obviously depending on the spouse you marry and just the mindset, but it kind of limits you. You can't just go crazy because you're married, and therefore your money is like, even though you don't maybe use your finances like together, but you need to tell your husband or your wife like, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. And if it's something that has to be done that you guys both have planned, you can't do that. You kind of have to hold those plans off for your family or whatever else you wanted to do. So personally speaking, I haven't had a career as yet, and someone else will differ, whereas they had a full-on career and then they got married later. But I got married young, and then as I was going to study my postgrad studies, I was pregnant, and then I just midst exams decided, you know what, I'm going to focus on this, pop some babies, and only this year I'm going back to school, y'all. So someone else who's actually had a career before they got married would probably have a very different view to this, and that's understandable because they had the freedom of doing what they want when they wanted and not having to tell anyone or ask anyone. I don't want to say ask, but just including anyone in their plans. They just went on and they did what they had to do. So it differs per situation, but for someone who's never had a career and is only starting now, it's going to be different because the breadwinner, the person who pays for all of the stuff in the household and just in life, is your spouse. It will differ if you're the guy who's not had a career, who doesn't make the money, and the girl does. It's also a bit different. The dynamics would be different. But I would advise, as someone who's never had a career before, looking back and all the just internal things, not to say my husband puts me under this pressure or he makes me feel a certain way, but just me, my own internal pressures, I would say work. I'd say go make money, feel what it's like to have a salary, and do things for yourself, travel, buy things that you want to buy, luxurious stuff or not so luxurious, save, sponsor people, if not your own family members, go on trips with your friends and your family. Experience those things first, only because I think at a certain age or stage in my marriage, I did feel very, very frustrated because I just felt I wanted certain stuff, but I couldn't really do them because, first of all, I am already married, right? And so there's responsibilities in the house. I feel, oh, I wish I could do that, I wish I could do that. I hate the fact that I have to ask for that, even though he never made me feel that way. And then there's stuff you want to do outside of your house, like if something goes wrong in your mother's house, and right now she doesn't have the money, although she has a job, you have to ask your spouse, or you have to find a way to do it. So it's like, it sucks, man. It sucked, let me say, for me. And so I just wouldn't want someone else to experience that. So I would say, if you can, finish your studies, go ahead, work a bit, and get married. But it's not a must. It's just, I want to say that I went through that stage. I think it was a year and a half, where I felt very, very insecure about the fact that I don't contribute financially to the house. I'm not ashamed about it, because I mean, that's just how my life panned out. I would also like to think, though, that I did get a bit comfortable in not having the pressure to make money, because rent is paid, the cars are paid, food, now with the kids, the school fees are paid. So it takes a lot for one who's been in that position to remember who they are, the dreams, the fire they had. And I guess you have to be desperate enough to go out there and start making money for yourself as well. Even though I do believe in marriage, like, it's not my money, it should be like, here's what I bring and here's what you bring, and we do it together. A tip that I do want to give regarding finances, though, that when you do get married young, that you guys save. Like, I know we all hear this and everybody says it, but I believe that, like, saving, even if it's like 100 rand a month from each person, it's brilliant if you both work. But if it's only just one person working in the meantime, let it be like small amounts. It doesn't matter how much it is, because one day, like, when you are getting there and there's a bit more money now coming into the household, you guys want to start buying property, or you want to pay certain things for your children, like school. Like, we have really, really high aspirations for schools that we want our kids to start attending, and we got such a reality check last year where it was a school that we wanted community to go to, and yes, you pay the application fee, but when the process actually goes forth and they pick you, or you are allowed to enter into the school, you have to pay an upfront amount. Like, these schools don't play. Like, in the tens of thousands, where you it's like non-negotiable. Like, you pay that amount, and then your kid, joins the school, and then obviously monthly it's a bit lower, but it's still a high amount. And the truth is, we can afford that school per month, but the amount they needed, that bulk, we didn't have at the time. We kind of didn't anticipate that. And it just sucked that we didn't have that chilling somewhere that we could freely just pay into that school. So we kind of have to wait for another year, in Jesus' name soon, where we can give that amount so that our child can go to the best schools, the schools that we actually have in our vision boards. So I would say, like, just every month start paying. Even when you don't have a lot of expenses, where maybe it's just one car and the rent that you're paying and just the food between you two. That's not a lot. Save up. So in that fourth, third year of marriage, when you have the kids or you want to buy a property, you've got a deposit that you can actually pay. And apparently when you've got a high amount of deposit that you can actually put down for a house, they actually lower the price of the house. People who have more knowledge on that can share in the comments, but I don't have that much knowledge on that. But I've heard a lot of people who have bought homes who had a deposit, and they put it down, and the amount went down like significantly. The last thing I really do want to share that really is on my heart regarding when you are married. So this is the duration of your marriage. I really want to say, like, take it easy. Don't be so much under pressure where you just lose your mind and lose yourself in the marriage. I've really only been married for just 6 years. It's not a lot. These people who've done this 15 years, 25 and up, those are like, isn't just a game, because they've really endured stuff that I'm yet to endure. But what I've just learned in this little bit is that you can never ever compare your marriage to someone else, because your marriage comprises of only you and your husband or wife, and that other marriage comprises of 2 other different personalities. So it's really not going to work for you to try and compare or take things that are done in someone else's marriage and implement in yours, unless the personalities of the husband and the wife in that marriage are the same kind of as yours, right? And the situations as well. So it's not going to work for you to compare. Patience is yeah, you're going to really need that a lot. I'm so grateful to have had leaders in my life who I can ask and they'd be like, do this, babe, or don't even fight about this, it's not going to help you, keep quiet. If it bothers you, fix it and move on. Now someone else, obviously, who's single might think, oh, that's abuse, and why can't you tell him to pick his stuff up? Good sis, he's not about to start tidying up his socks. You keep quiet, you pick them up, you throw them in the bin. I'm kidding, but it's just like, he's not about to get that, right? And there's things that I'm not about to get that really frustrate him. So it just helps that you keep your peace, zip your lip, fix whatever you feel needs fixing yourself, and move on. Some fights are not worth it. They're really not. But then there are ones that are worth it, and that you really should have a sit down with your spouse about and say, I cannot do this. Angie, I just can't. I don't know how many times, but I've learned the things that really I feel my husband is just not getting, it's just not clicking, I take to God. And I don't want to be spiritual about this, but you just take it to God, and you find, or I would find, that every time I do that, God actually checks me. Like, he corrects me, like, sis, you need to fix this and this and this and this. Then it just ends up not even being a session where I'm complaining about him to God, and then it's just a session where God is just like rebuking me and And I find that when, I think 2 instances where I've gone to complain and then God actually checks me, and then I start fixing those things, automatically it's like the things I went to complain about are fixed. So actually, sis, you just need the Lord. I'm sorry, that's not very helpful, but you need the Lord. Like, you cannot do marriage without Jesus Christ. You can't. I don't want to get into it. Like, I do not want to get into it. If you don't have Jesus, you're going to go crazy. You're going to leave, actually. That's what I'm trying to say. The marriage is really, really, really blessed. Last year 5, we went through like some deep hardships, and I just oathed to myself that I'm never going to give advice on marriage, because actually I know nothing. Like year 5 actually showed me that, wow, I don't know a thing, a damn. But now I just feel, man, my confidence was just knocked. I will not speak on things I know not of, and I will not act like I know everything. But I mean, on the little stuff I learn along the way, I'm gonna share. Of course I'm gonna share. I know there's people who just got married, shout out Mamela, but also just like people who want to get married. And I love the prospects of marriage. I love people who say, I want to get married one day. No judgment to those who don't. Like, it's really fine. Not everyone has to get married, but I'm just saying, like, I love it when young people aspire to get married, and because it's a beautiful thing, it really also can be very ugly. I'm not gonna lie to you. People can be very, very mean. I know my husband and I, when we argue, we're working on it, but we can get really, really, really mean and say really hurtful stuff to each other, which doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't make the fight any easier. So it's not just roses and beautiful things and you're farting pink dust like my hair. Oh, and then I think the biggest thing ever that I've learned, like, this is my thing, I'm becoming a master, is to fight fairly. Like, when you fight in your marriage, like, learn to be stern about what you are, the point you're putting across, but you're not mean, you're not hurtful, you don't hit below the belt, and you don't accuse. Just put it in a tone where your partner, your person can receive it well, as a form of correction and not an attack, but get your point across and use loving words. I feel like I'm saying this, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, if someone comes at you sideways, you're not going to receive them well. But if they come at you on some, like, using phrases like, hey, I really want us to start working on the way we address each other in public, or the way we support each other in public. I love it so much when I say something and you just back me up, instead of keeping quiet, you just back me up. It makes me feel so good. It makes me feel confident. It makes me feel like we're a team. Saying stuff like that can make such a big difference in your marriage and just how you guys handle each other and conduct each other in public. And it really will give the picture to people that you actually are a partnership. So if, let's say, something your spouse does a lot, you don't want to use words like, you always do this, or I always, always. That already just makes them feel like you're attacking them, and then they just block off, and then they can't hear you anymore. And then what they do is they're going to respond with the same tone, attack. And that helps no one, because then they're also going to bring up something else that you do, and now you're going to feel like, oh, and then it's not, that conversation is going to go nowhere. Then it's going to be awkward silence, and no one's talking to anyone. Then it's bad. So rather, read the room, read the moment, and then come with like your person best. You know the tone that they will hear you best, and the wording you're going to use. Yeah. If you feel frustrated in the moment, remove yourself. Just let them know, hey, I just need an hour. You'll explain later, because if you say you're upset about something, they're gonna want to talk about it and not really understand that you need space to go cool off so you can be a better communicator. So communicate the fact that you do need space right now, like you're gonna come back. You're gonna come back and chat about it. So when you do come back, make sure you are calm. Make sure you are ready to use words that will not make them feel like you're attacking them, and make sure you can get your point across. I found in times where I am able to do that, my husband can hear me clearly. He becomes so meek and apologetic and is so eager to fix that it works. What you're not supposed to do is when your partner or your spouse brings up something that you do and they would like you to work on, for you to bring something else up that you want them to work on. Because it's like, okay, but if I didn't do this, when were you going to do that? No, it's not the time. It's not the time, and the person will not receive it well. Then it's going to become a fight. You see? So those are just my little 2 tips on fighting fairly. Okay guys, this was so much fun chatting about these things. Like, I'm really passionate about this type of stuff. Like, I really am. And I feel like a lot of people who are out there online, who are married, are just not portraying, man. Okay, maybe they don't want to go the transparent route, which is fine. Like, it's okay. So I just feel there's just not enough representation of transparency in anything: Christianity, marriage, health, weight gain, all these things, like in life that people go through. Like, there's just no transparency. I have not seen. If there are people who are online who are sharing their lives, who are transparent about real struggles, please, like, tag them, share them with me. It could be online, just so you don't spam their accounts, so I can go check them out, because honestly I'm not finding any. That's why I've decided, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna put my life out there, obviously to a certain limit, and just share, bruh. Like, if you want to criticize me, it is what it is, and if you're gonna learn from it and do better than me, that's all I want. Okay, bye. Check this hair out, y'all. I look so good. And my nails.